Oh, technical difficulties. Hey, mate, wait. Where are we? There we are.
See what happens when I let him drive.
What happened there? I have no idea. It wasn't me. Right.
Is anyone using the Dart for the back end for real?
Yeah, everyone. All the cool kids. Right.
They keep telling me I'm cool. I don't know. Everybody tells me I'm cool except the wife.
Could be worse. Well, we're back. We were in person, and now we're separated by an ocean.
Yes. Ethiopia. Hello, hello. Very cool.
Hello, everyone. Yes.
Roa, hey, we got to get you on the show. How did we miss you last week?
There we go.
So.
Oh dear. What do we talk about? I'm exhausted. All that travel and everything else. And, I mean, we the thing is, we didn't we did some of the organization, but we were nowhere near as what was required. Majid just did so much.
Oh man.
So yeah,
we helped him out some, but Majid really did the heavy lifting almost all by it. Well, I am sure his wife had a lot to do with getting things done. So yes,
for the winter.
Oh wait, you got to put it on though. You got to put it on because it is. See, we're all Matt Sullivan now.
This is the best one.
Yeah.
Straights go down. I forgot. Straights go down, sides go up, parent sets position. That's the one. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark Glassberg, who was very happy to see that when I sent him a picture of it.
I can't remember. We were talking about that whole thing around that time with Mark, weren't we? I know it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh. He's done so much since those days.
I think we've all done so much since those days. Right.
Remember when Mark was new to Flutter and insisting we use Redux?
Oh yeah. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Pop these things back. Otherwise. Oh yeah.
The wife keeps me humble. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. We can't forget our Viking.
The one thing out of Flutter Vikings that's going to make me a better coder, the one thing that's going to do the most to help me as a coder, is the rubber duck.
And I managed to snag one of these from the Invitace team, so we have a Zap to join the collection. I'm waiting for a Spark. I need a 5A Spark, and then it will complete my little collection going on here.
I did. Really?
There you go. So, hopefully everyone had a lovely time with our show last week, and we will be just to reiterate, if you didn't see in the ending of the show, we have the original raw footage from the event and everything else. So we'll be editing together the slides and the talks, and they'll be going up on this very YouTube channel. So stay tuned and subscribe, and then you'll get notified. Yes. Right. Well, I suppose we better talk about who we are and what we do. Right. Let's get that usual thing out of the way. So welcome to Humpday Q&A. My name is Sam Ledford. I'm a Flutter community leader. We do not work for Google, just FYI. And I'm the CTO at Dev Angels London. And you can follow me on Twitter at Dev Angels London. And you get my lovely updates. Scott.
My name is Scott Stahl. I am also a community leader, organizer of GDG Cleveland, chief trash can emptier, and word is I sometimes write code at Dev Angels London.
Who knew? And today we have a Randall joining us. Let's see. Randall.
Hey, okay. Hi. Good to see you all. And it's probably good to be seen as well. Yes.
I really want to apologize. We didn't get Randall on the stream last week because of all the stuff we're trying to work out, the cameras and the setup. So Randall didn't make it on the stream last week. So Randall,
yes.
And you didn't even get a thank you at the end. How dare we?
I know.
So thank you, Randall.
It was. I'm not going to say par for the course. It was slightly under par. No, slightly over par, I should say. That's backwards. Yes.
So Randall, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Randall Schwartz. I've been doing Flutter since before it was released publicly, and I've been doing Dart for about the same amount of time. And I'm, in theory, I'm a full-time Flutter coder, professional, architect, all that stuff. In the meantime, right now I'm kind of between gigs, so if anybody's got an idea, let me know. But I also am a Flutter Google developer expert, which means that I have worked with Google and get to participate essentially in the role of being unpaid developer relations, which means I get a lot of time talking to y'all in the community, answering questions, helping people out, learning more in the process, because as I help you, I'm helping me. So that works out really well. And I love doing this. It's sort of what I'm born to do, as many people have commented. So, yeah, so I'm here doing that role here to be able to help you all out with your questions. Please put a Q in front of your questions. Also, please tell your friends and neighbors. Let's get some more people on the channel, because if they're live, they get to have their questions answered right away. Whereas if they, if they don't come here during the 2 hours that we're on, or the hour today that we're on, then you have to wait, or you have to go to all those other places that I answer questions.
Yeah. And you may not get answered. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
We try and answer every question.
We truly try.
So
yes.
We'll quickly do, we'll keep this very brief and quick, Scott, just the time. So we'll get back to the questions that already started flowing in. Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts. Be nice, be respectful, be constructive. This isn't Reddit. We have standards. Don't post anything that's adult, rude, offensive. Come on, folks. Don't advertise or promote your service. We don't, if you want to advertise something, talk to us. Maybe, get a fee or something going here. Let's see here. Don't spam your same question over and over. What you may not realize is we have this system where every time you ask a question, we tag it. And every time we tag it, it goes to the bottom of the list. Well, if you ask it a second time, we will tag your newest one and untag your oldest one. So every time you repeat a question, you're putting yourself back at the bottom of the list. And of course, harassment of any kind is not tolerated. You'll be blocked, of course, from interacting in the chat. But more importantly, most of the resources in the Flutter community, organization, and also kind of the loose-knit network, we all share ban lists. Yeah, if you're dumb enough to get thrown out of here, you're probably going to find the rest of your logins in places like Slack and Discord suddenly stop working. So, we are pretty serious about keeping this a friendly environment. Simon, did you fall asleep?
No. I was just trying to prepare something for the stream. Let's
you don't need to be working on your slides anymore. Your talk was last week.
I know, right? I know. Let's see if I can share this. I saw this just. I'm gonna mispronounce his name because I am terrible. I saw this just before we came on live. I thought I wanted to share this. In Flutter Dev, everything is a widget, but is a widget everything? Whoa.
Wow.
You know why that's a picture of the ocean?
Go on.
Because it's a deep thought.
Also because it's above sea level.
Well, I can never say this name, but he was actually at Flutter Vikings. I didn't actually get to have a chat with him. I can't pronounce his name.
Don't try. You'll only insult the man.
He knows who he is. The man. Is it GD, his name as well?
The Flutter master from Lithuania.
Yeah, he is a GD, yeah. Anyway, so
just a heads up, we might be getting some noise from behind me here shortly. After traveling 28 hours from Oslo, I got in the car, and instead of coming home, we went directly to the dog shelter and came home with a new fuzzy butt. So they are due back in the door any moment.
So
I'm going to ignore the fact that Simon's trying to say I have a fuzzy butt.
I never said that. I said you mean a dog, because people might not know what you mean by when you say fuzzy butt. That was
sorry. We say a fuzz butt. Speaking
So
of,
let's just cover some stuff here. So here's something that is new, and that was announced during Vikings. Flutter 3.3. There's lots of cool stuff. I'll post these links. These are the standard Medium articles that come out. And if you haven't read them, I highly recommend them. I'll pop them in the chat. So we've got the What's New in Flutter, Tim Smith's announcement, and then also what we've also got is Dart 218, which has also got Objective Suite and Swift Interrupt now with FFI. So that's really cool as well. There's a bunch of stuff happening. I also noticed that there was someone actually tweeted this just a minute ago that Dart 3 was referenced in a PR recently, and apparently they're going to make it so that it only works with null safety. So there's no option to have unsound. So what we mean by that is it's going to be always completely sound null safety in Dart 3. So that's a bit of an early. I mean, that's the problem with doing open source, right? Like, everyone sees what you're doing, but
can't keep a secret.
Can't keep a secret, yeah.
On the other hand, though,
yeah,
we still get these people complaining about Dart, saying, "Oh, it's terrible and all, and it didn't work on web." You know, they're so far out of touch. They actually think Dart is still loosely typed.
Yeah,
and it's so. Oh my God.
I wanted to cover this quickly as well whilst we begin the show here, because it's another interesting thing. They've now released multiple HTTP libraries, including Cupertino HTTP. Let me just pop that open here. So this is currently, I think, as it says labs, I think it's experimental. But the idea is that you would include this for iOS and Mac, and it will use the Cupertino iOS stack. So you can see here from session configuration. So you can say, oh, when we're on cellular, connect and don't connect and so on. So there's a bunch of like advancements you get. Also, it'll be slightly more optimal to use the platform-based one. So it's still experimental. And I think if you remember right, there was another one that was released as well, which I've completely forgotten what it's called. ChromeNet, that's the one. And that's the one for Android. It's part of Google Play services. And this is, again, so there's a replacement there for the HTTP stack that you can add into your apps. And that's also part of the Dart 18 release. And it's all spoken about in here and the reasons why. There you go. Things like, you'll get VPN access and things through your connections and all the advanced stuff. So there's some pretty cool stuff going on. Explains it all in here and how you use it. This was one thing that always irked me that I'm glad they've resolved. Improved type inference. So when you use fold, you would always have to type define the you'd always have to type define them, right? Like to kind of get the sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Yeah, you would always have to put in like int or whatever to get the right type definition, and it wouldn't infer it correctly. And you'd get like this can't be unconditionally invoked because the receiver can be null, or vice versa, or dynamic, or some other issue. So now you actually get the correct inference, which is nice. Async performance improvements as well. So when using an AOT snapshot, we get about 10% performance increase, which is quite big, actually. Apparently also reduce the code size as well. So there's, I mean, these are the things that kind of excite me more than the Flutter specific things, right? Like these are the underlying things that really affect your applications.
I do want to elaborate. I want to elaborate for a second on the Dart 3 thing and the dropping out of the null, pre-212 legacy code, because there's a huge amount of code in the code base to make it act like pre-212 just if you set the SDK to a lower number. And most of that code never gets activated for almost everything most of us are doing all these days. And so why keep carrying that legacy code that has to get tested and updated sometimes and all that stuff, just if you put the number below 212 for compatibility with a library that's over a year old that should have been thrown out already.
Well, we were talking to Michael Thompson.
How long
at
did I spend converting that one app that had been written pre-212?
Well, yeah, right. I was going to say we were speaking to Michael Thompson at Flutter Vikings, and there's nothing private here, but he was saying that a lot of internal, there's still quite a bit of internal code that hasn't been converted to null safe, right? That they're still trying to push across. And that's like, like sub packages of Dart and other things that are inside. So they still, and they're running tests. They have to run tests on unsound, sound, and then a mix between the two. And so just getting rid of making it sound null safe, they can get rid of 2/3 of all their tests.
Yeah.
Right. Immediately off the bat, like that. This is a big deal. So can't wait to see that actually happen. Let's quickly carry on here. This was one thing I've been looking for a while, and I think we'll look into this with the Flutter community packages. But there's now a new funding tag that you can add to your pub spec, so that you can add something like consider supporting me with buy me a coffee, or so I'm hoping we can add in the Patreon into the links on all the Flutter community packages, so we can get the support that we need. So yeah, there's OSI information about that. Breaking changes, I'm sure. Null safety update, we should probably go through about what we were talking about. And wow, that is awesome. He was actually so Michael Thompson also said he said that in the Q&A at the end that he congratulated everyone because I think it was the top, I can't remember, 500 top 1,000 packages is 98% of the top 1,000 packages now support null safety. That's huge, right?
Right.
The community has done so much to migrate to sound null safety. And here you go. Here's all the stuff. If you migrate with full null safety in Dart 3, if you haven't, please migrate now. Yeah. So this is all sort of getting there. And then what's new in Flutter? There's global selection, which was really needed when it comes to what do you call it? So when you try and select text on web or desktop and places where you have a mouse, just to you don't really ever select in one text field. And you're well, you might position multiple text fields, and selection should really work across them, like it does on web. In fact, here when I select across here multiple paragraphs, you can't expect that behavior. Trackpad input. So this will have better gesture control, like scrolling and pinch to zoom and all that kind of fun stuff. So there's a bunch of stuff in there. Scribble. This was one thing that was also kind of interesting. This is the text input. You can see it here. What's it called?
It's the Newton. The Newton's finally back.
All right. There's a name for this. Whatever. Yeah, you get it.
Scribble.
Well, manual input to text. It's not text. Oh. It's not text to speech. It's that kind of this
script to text.
OCR. Yeah. Optical character recognition. Yeah. Text input. So this has been improved. This was the big one. This allows with the deltas now. It means you can have things like a rich text editor. There's a demo of that here. So you can do this kind of more large document input. Obviously,
optical character recognition, Shrike. OCR is optical character recognition. You can do anything that is like a PDF. You can take a picture of a book page, anything like that looks at the lines and recognizes them as text and converts it.
Yeah. And here we go. So we got all the improved widgets for Material 3, which is really nice. We got the nice improvements going on there. There was this medium and large app bar stuff, which I thought was interesting, like the transitions. Apparently that's a thing now. And whatever happened to the large text that kind of went small into the top? Always like that. And then improvements to desktop, Go router, VS Code extensions, DevTools, all the usual. Veracity cache improvements.
Now there was so much going on. I kind of missed something. are they actually picking up Go Router as part of the framework?
The framework team have already picked it up. They're not picking it up as part of the framework, but they're picking it up as since
A team package.
Chris is
official.
So Chris is picking
Yeah.
up. So because
Chris
a
got
team.
stolen by Facebook.
Yeah. So Go Router itself is now owned by the Flutter team, right?
Right.
But it doesn't make it the official like router package that everyone should use, right? There's plenty of them out there, right? It's just now it's maintained by them. That's all it is. So Flutter Dev Tools, raster cache improvements. This is quite an interesting one. So previously there would be quite a bit of copying between getting to your assets that are stored can be stored in memory, and then they'll be copied again and again a few times to actually get them to become images. And in removing the extra copies, they've actually like made a 2x improvement in the micro benchmarks, which is actually a big deal, right? Overall images are accessed quite a lot, and that loading time of getting images on the screen, you need to be instantaneous, right? Like, so it does make a difference. And then stability, iOS pointer compression, disabled. Interesting. There was some issues with that, so they've disabled it now. And we have a few API improvements. I'm not going to go through these. I just want to show them here. This was one that was picked up on quite a few times over the years. So basically, you'd get like this. I think that's what this was. This was like some pixel snapping happening on layers inside Flutter's rendering engine. And they've now removed that behavior because it was only in there as an optimization for the older 32-bit iPhones, and now it's no longer needed. So we should be seeing not only a performance increase, but a better overall experience as well. 32-bit iOS deprecation. We knew that was coming. Sunsetting older macOS branches. And I didn't know Bitcode was being deprecated, so that's interesting. And there you go. So there's a lot going on. I just want to kind of just take people through that because there's a lot going on there. Right.
All right.
Some questions.
But before we do anything else, I've been looking at the questions, and there's one that strikes me as a little bit more important than the others. What is that ketchup bottle doing on your desk?
That's because I had some food before we started the stream. Yeah, that's not there anymore.
Nothing to see here. Move
Now you
along.
don't.
Move along. Yes. How to make the ketchup bottle disappear live during the show.
This is fully English.
There you go.
Go for it.
Harsh, come on. You know we need more info. Oh yes.
Can you see this?
Oh yes.
Bigger than the light. Flutter Vikings, and it's got a lovely design inlaid in the.
Yeah.
There you go. It's in focus.
Kind of see it.
So these were made in Ukraine, and Anna brought them over from Ukraine with her, and these are wonderful. These are, so thank you, Anna. And we sung Anna happy birthday on last week's Humpday Q&A. So go watch the
joke around.
if you want.
If I remember correctly, Anna got a little bit of a chuckle out of it. We are now calling these our Illuminati bracelets. You are part of the secret society.
I love that. Who was it? Was it Alessandro? I can't say his name.
Alessandro?
Alessandro.
No.
One of the guys at the table, at the speaker table, he took a picture of all of us with our hands out and put it up on Twitter. And then, like, the very first reply is like, "Power Rangers, go!" It's like, what's it like? Super power thing, whatever. Right, let's go. Let's get some questions in.
All right. Harsh, you know we need more info.
Sorry, a little reminder for everyone: get your questions in with the queue. Sorry for overriding the stream. There, go on.
You put them a queue in the front, and they get in the queue at the end.
Yes.
Clever wordplay. Why not?
Randall,
Right.
you're making my head droop, and now I'm blinding the poor people.
Yeah.
Right, come, read it off.
Can we use a data table within list view? I'm facing a flickering issue while I'm doing that. Please fix it. No code?
So
no more description?
Wrap your data. So first of all, they're not really designed for that. You can use them with that as long as they've got a limited set of rows. You just try wrapping it in a repaint boundary. That's the best I can suggest. Or just a material widget. This could be the other thing, because the backgrounds of the data table might be painted to the material widget that's behind your list view. So wrapping your data table in a material widget might also help.
Data table here being a single item of the list view, that seems a little
No. There's a widget called data table.
No, I know there's a widget called data table, but to have that as one of the scrollable items in a list view,
yeah,
I mean, let's
say you're using the list view just to have some scrolling content in the screen, and one of those items is a data table, which is fine. The problem obviously is that when that data table can data themselves can scroll. And that's when it kind of gets weird, right? Which you don't want to do, and that's why try to avoid that kind of thing, right?
And one of the problems is the data table has to get the intrinsic size of every single cell every time it needs to be repainted, well, or at least to optimize, so it doesn't need to, but because it needs to squish both rows. It has to squish both rows and columns, so it's
no. But I think the row height is a you can fix the row height.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think that's, I remember right.
Give the data table a height, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. They're giving answers now instead of questions in the chat room. Lovely. I'll just answer that for you, the guys here that are on the screen.
All right. Anyone using Dart in the back end for real? Me.
Yeah. Oops.
All right. Have we seen the new Flutter Animate package gskinner has released? Briefly, while I was running around trying to solve microphone issues.
So I looked at his, where is it? I'll find it here. That's the one. Yeah, let's bring this up on stream here, if I can find it. There you go. So this was gskinner's blog post around this. So they were building this wondrous app, which is another app, which is about the 7 wonders of the world, and they want to do some animations. And he said he wanted a simple, clean, and simple, concise, and clean API, variety of effects, and so on. So yeah, you kind of got this like animate effects child. This is like a standard widget. Then you can also take another widget and from what I read of this, and then you can say animate, slide, and chain them along, and then you can sort of chain these these things together in the widget tree, and it maintains its state and does all the nice stuff. So you kind of it's like
if you haven't seen Wondrous yet, it is amazing. It's definitely worth locating. Do we have a URL for it somewhere? I'm trying to think out what to Google for.
I do. There's a link in this article, so I'll post this article for people that read it. It's at the top of this article.
Cool, and check that out. It's beautiful. It's an amazing use of the technology, and I really like.
Come on, sorry.
No. Yeah,
I really like this. I really like this. They're using the use of extension methods on integers to turn them into durations. So .ms for milliseconds will return back the milliseconds, 4,000 milliseconds as a duration, right? The same here. So another interesting thing that they've done here is the use of hertz for frequency, right? Which I think is nice. So like shake at 4 hertz, which is a better idea about like that's 4 times a second, right? Like that's a better way instead of saying shake at a frequency of 250 milliseconds, which is just like how many, like, you have to do the calculation where hertz kind of makes more sense. I like that a lot.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. This is kind of nice. So you can see here like the different effects of shake, shimmer, shake, and scale together, and they all come together for the final effect. So anyway, so there's a bunch of like cool stuff, and Grant and I guess his team have done some really good stuff here. So it's called Flutter_Animate. I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm certainly going to. And I feel like I should. I want to use this in my next project. But yeah, it's super nice. Oh, animate list. Interesting. Shared effects. Yeah, we'll have to check it out. But yeah, it's only been out a day, I think. Was it a day? Can't remember when. Something like that.
Oh, and Calan just said a great note on in the chat. Nice recent 3-minute YouTube video on Wondrous in the Flutter YouTube channel. So
nice. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. That's their and yeah, the official Flutter YouTube channel has a Wondrous app, gskinner, kind of how they made it, all the cool stuff that went involved. So.
Yep.
All right, so what were some of our favorite takeaways from Flutter Vikings? Takeaway? Well, Simon and I did go back to the same pizza place for lunch after dinner. It was really good.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that kind of takeaway. I don't. It's so hard because Simon and I were also co-organizers of Flutter Vikings, which means every time something caught on fire, we were
I was running
around.
between we were just running between every room that was doing something. I'll tell you right now, I've still not watched any of the other people's talks.
Neither have I.
Not one.
Neither have I.
So I do want to do that, and I'm going to be watching them multiple times, probably during the editing and kind of getting things finished. So we'll answer that question another time for sure, and give some detailed thoughts. But yeah, I really want to see Tim Smith talk about Win32 package because I'm a Windows guy, and I think that's would be really interesting for me.
I can't remember exactly how to pronounce her name, but and I've said it several times, but I do once again want to apologize to Victoria. I believe it's Subchick. One talk. I wanted to see one talk, and I'm running around the whole place with the roaming microphone in my pocket. And I'm sitting there, and I'm as far away from the door as you can possibly get while I'm sitting in this room for this talk. And the notifications start coming on Slack. We need a microphone in the other room. I'm like,
oh,
are you kidding me? So I have to get up, walk all the way to the back of the room, all the way across the back of the room behind the camera so I don't block it, all the way down the wall. And she's like, looking at me, looking at the audience, looking at me, looking at the audience. I'm just like, oh my God.
Like,
so I go out, I go to deal with this, right? We try to deal with it. It turns out they've got to approach it a different way. Don't even use the microphone in my pocket. I go back to the talk. I slip in, I sit down right near the door. I'm there 1, 2, 3. The applause starts. Talk's over. Not kidding. Not kidding.
Timing. It's all about
that
timing.
was my one talk that I got to see.
Better luck next time, as they say.
Yeah, but when you're an organizer, give up on the idea of catching talks while you're at the event. It's not going to happen.
So for those that didn't watch it, day 2 Valhalla. I'm just going to self-promote here because why not? It's my stuff. Why not? Day 2 Valhalla is the name of the video. An hour and 20 in.
You do realize you're not sharing.
You'll find my I know that. You'll find my talk on a game port that I've done from an original game called Another World. And should I bring some? Oh, we try. We should get to some questions in a second. We will get to everyone's questions.
We've got 19, so we need to keep moving.
Yeah.
We'll get that. We'll get that. Hang on. So yeah,
he says that every week.
Yeah, and I do get there every week. So come on,
we do. Yeah,
there you go. Let's bring this up. Why not? There you go. So that's the little title screen for it. But Another World was a game done by Eric Chahi, and if I'm very I've already failed. Yeah, never mind. My code is all
Just
broke, so
kidding.
it doesn't matter. I was going to show you it, but it's not even loading right now, of course. But yeah, anyway. So next time, but the repo, you can go. Everyone can go grab the repo. It is, that's like for another Dart. I'll post the link in the chat. If anyone's, you should be able to just check it out and run it on Windows and Mac. And I just did add, someone added Linux support from the community, and so they should work on Linux now. I have not. It looked good. I haven't tested it though. So fingers crossed. Right, back to
Cool.
back to our normally scheduled program.
Alrighty then. Does R8 technology of building bundles secure apps from reverse engineering? So this is the second one I've seen on reverse engineering. And one of the sponsors at Flutter Vikings was all about safety, reverse engineering, protecting your app.
R8 does not secure it from reverse engineering. It does obfuscate, it does provide other things, but it's not like it's called ProGuard, right? Like this, I think that's the official name for it. That's done by another company, and then I think Google did another one, but that's Android. That's Android only. When you build with Dart, you can add the obfuscate. It'll obfuscate Dart, and you get like a list file out. You have to upload. Your stack traces will be gobbledygook until you run them through. But this TalSec is what you're probably looking for if you want to start reverse engineering. They have a package. If you click at the top and click on Flutter Security, third, yeah, and scroll down. There's a as well. I think there's a link to a pub dev package. I can't remember what it is. Yeah. Oh well, it's a great advertisement for them. I haven't tried it, but from what I can see, it's good. AppyCrypt is there. Yeah, free RASP. That's that one. Free RASP. Oh, there you go. Pub dev. There you go. So that's
free RASP 302.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what you want to do, and that will tell you it'll detect if like someone's trying to do stuff, and then if it is, you'll get a callback, and then you can choose how you want to handle it, like shut the app down or tell the user they can't use a certain feature or whatever. I don't know, but RASP is a runtime app self-protection. It's basically it monitors the app as it's running and sees if it's trying to be.
Remember, these people supported Flutter Vikings. Support them. So,
next question.
When do I get a raise? No. Any suggestions for DO error handling packages? Well, good question. I have not been working with DO. Any? Have you?
No.
DO. Was this any suggestion for DO error handling packages? Is that? I thought that was Mace. It's Mass. All right.
Right. Yeah. No. At first, I did think that was Mace, but it's not.
A very similar icon, I think. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by error handling packages. You just handle the error.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say it's probably bespoke anyway. I mean, every single way that you set it up, there's an API and it can fail 19 different ways. And you need to trap all those and do something useful with that. That's coding. That's what you have to do when you're dealing with an API.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't think there's any package like for that, right? And you wouldn't have any.
You don't want to be dependent on packages. Because, if you use 20 different packages to try to make your life easier when you write the app, what happens when 4 of them are no longer maintained? And now you've got to go through and refactor the whole app to either use a different package or to write it raw. So really minimize your dependency on packages. And especially, if you've got one package that's trying to do everything for you and your whole app is completely crippled without it, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. Really. You should be writing most of your apps in vanilla framework, just straight up Flutter. But there are some things and some packages you can be pretty sure are always going to be around. I mean, the HTTP package is always going to be around. The RiverPod package is always going to be around. Block.
First,
you know, there are
party
lots of
packages.
things. Yeah, there are, you know, and Go Router. That's going to be around. So, but be a little leery, you know, don't use a package for everything just because it makes life a little easier, because sooner or later it may end up not maintained anymore.
I have
and
to
it's going
say,
to make your life harder.
It's not just that one fact, right? It's not just that one factor. The more dependencies you add, the more interdependencies there are that are packages that depend on each other, and the more conflicts you're going to get, and the more conflict resolution you have to do, and it's a nightmare, right? So just like there's so many reasons not to just put in a crap ton of packages, right? Like,
You know, and I'm looking at a situation right now, right in front of me. I just tried to update widget book in the pub spec YAML, and it caused a collision.
Wow.
So anyway,
moving on.
I'll be talking to the widget book guys about that, but probably no big deal. Any cool repo for Dart as a backend? What do you mean repo, man? Write the code. You're the Flutter boy. Write it.
So there is that Stargate in there? I think it is. There is what is it? So we got Dart Frog, which has been worked on by who is it? VGV. Then there's the Server Pod. That's another one by the community. You've got Conduit, which is the open source community's migration from originally Aqueduct, which is now deprecated. And then there's
there you go, another package.
Another package coming out, should we say? A few more packages coming out for Dart at the backend. And if you want to experience Dart at the backend, go check out the boring show episodes I did with Craig on starting up and deploying. There you go. So
you know, and we found something really interesting while we were in Norway, and I'm trying to find.
Let's give us some questions, shall we?
Well, one quick second. One quick second.
I'm concerned we don't have much time left. I want to get through all the questions.
I know. Darn it, I lost it now.
So I used up all the time on my slides.
Simon. What are we going to do with him, folks? What are we going to do with him? So what I did notice, though, that's a pretty cool icon right there, Flutter Boy. And if you notice, we found the real Stargate when we were in Norway.
This was
pretty cool. That thing's big. It was really big.
Can you zoom in?
Like Vikings walk through this.
Yeah. It's really quite something. There's that gold filigree embedded in the marble.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think Simon and I come up like halfway up this door.
Not even that.
Yeah, it's big. All right. Next. Oh boy. Woohoo.
Okay, is this specific for me? Which state management plugin is best for Flutter?
But wait.
Yeah. So the answer is the one that works for you.
Yeah.
And it's not the one you want to hear.
Not kidding.
I'll be honest with you. I just use vanilla. Like, you've got value listeners, you've got state notifiers, you've got so many different things that will do exactly what you want it to do. Inherited model, inherited widget are all in the framework. It doesn't take, you can wrap your inherited widget with another outside stateless widget, and then you've got provider then for all intents and purposes, right? So yeah, you can do a lot with just plain vanilla and it will do just fine. Other than that, pick your poison. Riverpod, provider, block, you name it. There's loads of them. Be consistent is the thing.
I'm going to take one out of order real quick. Have a project for a client based on Flutter 117. Need to upgrade to the latest version. My first piece of advice, I wish I was joking, but I'm not. Triple your fee and absolutely do not ever do this for a flat rate. This is an hourly job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
I
an
was gonna say
hourly
that-
job because you'll get halfway through and setting things for null safety is going to wreck other things.
I seem to
So
remember
you're going to
though,
have to rewrite a lot more than you think.
isn't there Dart Fix or Flutter Fix does?
There is
That's
a Flutter
quite a
fix.
bit of
I did
migration.
not try it at the time because when I was doing this, it was before that was cleaned up. It'll help a lot, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
triple your fee.
So the thing is, you're going to need to go look at the release notes, and there's a list of for each of the different versions above 1.17. Just go through them, each major release version as it came out, and look at what breaking changes took place, because you're gonna realize that, oh, I can't remember, like an extra parameter was removed, or they changed the name of this, and there's a few different ones, and going from that old version to the latest version, you're going to have to sort of apply all these different break and change fixes. Now, the hope is that you can just go and say latest version, and then just do like Dart Fix, and it'll fix most of them, and Flutter Fix or whatever, and it'll fix most of them, and you have to go through. But whatever you do, it's just going to be a long slog to go through it bit by bit. I reckon I would say that what you do is fix it, go with the latest version, fix it up so that it all compiles as unsound null safety, right? That means there's a whole section on the Dart thing. You run it with -- unsound - null - safety or something. It's you go look, find the Dart documentation. At least that way you can get the entire thing working with the latest API.
Yeah.
Then you can then make it null safe, and you can apply that, because that's got a whole set of different problems to solve.
To give you an idea, I worked on one for 8 to 10 weeks, and we were still finding issues. Even we thought we were done, then we went on to do other things with the app and still ran into problems. So this is not a fast thing. Okay.
Yeah.
James, can you ask a general question about a package? You can throw it out there, but we'll see what happens.
I'll mention just quickly, this is good knowledge to have. Always keep your packages and your apps up to date with the latest versions of Flutter and Dart. You will save yourself the headache later. If you have a client who hasn't updated their app for a while, go talk to them and say, I think you should update this. Performance improvements you're going to get. You're going to get this. You're going to get that. Sell it to them. And you're going to get a few
maintenance costs.
Yeah, you're going to get like a maintenance fee out of that. You can charge them a small fee, and you don't have the headache in the future. When that client comes back to you and goes, I need you to migrate now to this latest version, and then you've got this massive headache, right? Be proactive.
Especially, folks, there are a lot of fintech companies, out there wanting to use Flutter. If your app has anything to do at all with fintech or healthcare, keep it up to date. I mean, update it weekly if you have to, but keep it up to date. All right. Any library to put password on a media file? Isn't that something that's in the media file itself?
Well, no. This needs more. So, Chandan, whatever. If you can post again and just give us an example of what you mean by media file, like a video. I know you're trying to play that video back through video player, for example, right? Because there's different things. Because you can encrypt any file. First of all, the answer to this is, you can go create an AES key and go use the crypto package that's in the Dart pub.dev. It's called crypto, and you can go encrypt any file and decrypt it at runtime in memory, and then play the data, play the content in some way, right? Like, you can do that. So yes, you can put a password on a media file, in short, right? But if you want to directly play it through a media playback, yeah, that's something different. That involves, that's like more like DRM. That's something different. But yeah, for the most part, you can just encrypt a file with a crypto package, and then you decrypt it at runtime when you load it, and it gets put into the cache directory. So you go to path provider package, which you can do get at cache directory, and you decrypt the file, store it in there, and then the path of where the cached file is, that's what you play with video player, for example.
Okay.
There you go.
And another one too, Chandan also had asked about an extra layer of security to prevent reverse engineering. That's what we were going through before.
Free grasp. Yeah.
With
There's alternatives, by the way. I'm saying FreeRAS, but Guard Square have also released.
Well, what that one that we just had.
No, but there's another company called Guard Square who make the company that made ProGuard for Android. They've also done one for Flutter as well.
Yep, and then of course Tausig. Impeller. When I talked to Tim Sneath about Impeller, he was basically saying that in this release it's only small changes. He didn't say anything else. I want to be clear. He did not say anything else. But I can't imagine why would they change a graphics engine unless there's something serious on the horizon.
No, this was. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. From what I understand, this is just my personal opinion. From what I understand about what Impeller is and the explanation, I'll explain what it is and how it's different and why we are even going in that route. As far as I understand it, okay. So, Impeller. So first of all, Flutter is based on Skia as underlying graphics architecture. Skia has a huge set of functionality, and guess what? Flutter uses this much of it. so Flutter uses a very small subset of what Skia supplies. Now, okay, so why don't we just? They from the very day one, they've been very. I say that is the Flutter team, have been very cagey about adding more functionality from Skia into it for this very reason. It's a base level thing, and suddenly now I support it here. I have to support on every platform. It's not a simple change as just add one function, right? It's a compounding problem. Now, we got to this point where recently where there was some performance problems on iOS. On Metal specifically, and this was around the fact that the way Flutter has been designed and the way Skia works is that it compiles the shaders it uses for rendering for drawing the screens and doing everything. It compiles them on the fly when your app is running. Now, what the problem is, and it was fine with OpenGL, what you could do is, in fact, it's on the Flutter website. You can run a pass over your application, and it will collect all the shader information and ship it with your app. And this way, it can pre-compile them, and you can kind of get a better performance out of your app when it's at runtime and slow and bring down the loading speed and a bunch of other things. Now, that's all fine and well. However, it doesn't work on Metal. They did some investigations, and that kind of the preloading and the way it works just doesn't. The way the whole shader system works is just different on Metal, right? And this fundamental change meant they had to fundamentally change the graphics system. And then it was like, okay, well, if we're going to do that, what do we actually need? We don't need Skia, right? They need a small subset of features from Skia, but they don't need Skia itself. So again, reducing those dependencies, scaling it back. If you can replace that. The underlying rendering engine with a version that specifically does what Flutter needs, right, and not anything else, then you can get better performance, get better throughput, and better control over the platform to have these optimizations on the different architectures and so on. So that's where Impeller comes in. Now, at the moment, when I looked at Impeller when it first came, this was quite a few months back now. I think it was. I've lost track. But when I looked at Impeller, it basically was just a shim layer that basically just redirected all the canvas calls to Skia, right? So it still depends on Skia right now. But the idea is that once that's in place, so imagine you've got like Flutter doing all its API calls, goes to Impeller, Impeller then goes to Skia. What you can then do, once that works, you can start removing the different bits of Skia out of it and replacing them with Impeller-specific behaviors. And eventually Skia is completely replaced by Impeller, and then Skia can be removed as a dependency. So that's what I suspect. This is just my opinion. That's what I suspect they would do, because that's what I would be doing. So yeah, there you go. Does that help? Hang on. Any questions from anyone? I don't know. Here's the thing. What does it mean to us as app developers? We'll get better, higher performing apps and more compatibility. There you go.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Super not boring.
It is fascinating that the original Flutter project was about bringing a lot of the engine of Chrome out of the way to make it faster, and now we're going even further. And
Well,
going,
Chrome,
well,
yeah. Well, I mean that was based on Skier, right? Like, right, what
Yeah.
you're seeing right now is all done through Skier.
It's just pretty soon. It's just going to be like a 1 kilobit interpreter kernel, and that's it. It's going to be Forth. They're going to put Forth at the core.
Yeah, let's just rewrite the entirety of the Flutter engine COBOL. Why not?
Yeah, there we go. Awesome.
Chip, where's Groovin' Chip?
Right. He'd be like the first one to be like, no. Right. Paya, what is the best practice to bypass of cause error?
You don't bypass it, you fix it.
The best practice is not to bypass it.
Yeah,
it's there for a reason, guys.
Yeah, I mean, a CORS error, CORS is a security thing. So when you say bypass, that's a smell that's worse than a code smell, if you know what I mean. Yeah, you don't bypass it. Just get the proper permissions.
So there's a website. The website that you're looking for, that everyone's looking for, is called Enable CORS. I'll put it in the chat. It's enable-cors.org. And this is all about resource sharing around CORS, the specification and how important it is and how it works. And you have CORS on the server, CORS on the client, and let me zoom out here. And if you do CORS on the server, then you then got what type of server are you using, or whatever it is, and then this tells you how you make changes in your configuration to enable it and enable all the rest of it, and then CORS on the client, like what browsers support there is and how you make requests and so on and so forth. So there's a bunch of resources, including test-cors.org, where you can pop in your file and your URL and tell you if it's CORS enabled and what it's doing and so on. So,
does anybody know how to see a list of the users of all the viewers on YouTube? Because whenever I click on participants, it only shows me the people who have chatted since I click on participants, and I know there are more than 4 people watching this. So, oh man, Puff, if you're here, send me that DM again. I lost it. Okay, I clicked on one. There it is. Related to HTTP when setting a proxy on the host platform, Dart seems to ignore that.
Yep.
Well, the updates.
Yes, the 2 updates I talked about. Yes, they will. In fact, those 2 updates will respect VPN and proxy settings for the platform.
Yep,
they should do. I haven't tried them, and the way that they're supposed to work is that they should do. So, okay. Just be clear. You can also just handle that yourself. You can actually go get the proxy setting and just proxy with the standard HTTP package or DO or whatever. So,
right.
That's what I've been doing so far.
All right. Anyway, we can preserve the state of a widget if we push another route. And now there was a clarification later. Okay. This reads as if it's a basic state management question, but it's not exactly, because the follow-up was, can you do this with web views and preserve the state of the web view? Which is a whole nother animal.
So when you push a route, I'm just going to try and find it here. One time I want to find it, I can't find it. Hang on. When you push a route, you actually have an option to preserve the state. The one time. So you can actually override your route, and when you push it, let me see. I'll bring this up on stream here. Maintain state. Well, the route should remain in memory when it's inactive, right? So this maintain state boolean, you can override this value, and then that'll keep all the memory in play. And that's part of modal route, but then page route and pop-up route are what's based on those. And then these are based on material route and so on. So all your standard routes have it. In fact, there you go. By default, maintain state true on a material page route. Yeah. So yes, you can, in short. If that helps. There might be other things that you're doing because not all widgets respect. I mean, this is just for the route, but not all widgets in the tree might respect this. I think I feel like Stack is one that doesn't. So there's actually a widget called Visibility. And Visibility actually has particularly a maintained state. So I think this is actually if you toggle the visibility, if it maintains state or not. So be sure that if you're using visibility and toggling visibility, that maintain state set to true, and that will also might solve your problem.
Very cool.
But yeah, no, it should do it. Yeah, there's complexities around your web view point because native platform views are done slightly differently. But hopefully it'll work.
Speaking of native, sometimes Flutter apps are using platform features like font style in Android or back button in iOS. Is it really supposed to be like that? Well, of course, yes. But you can override them if you want. You can do a ton with theming and theme extensions as far as your font styles. One interesting thing to be aware of, if you start messing with the font style, it can interfere with your buttons. I'm sorry, not your buttons, your icons, because icons are font. Believe it or not. One thing though, and you can take the back button down, but if you're showing it, never change the function of what the user feels is the operating system back button. When they hit that button, it has to be an intuitive and predictable response. Never mess with the back button unless you just make it go away. So,
Okay then.
Simon's not speaking. It's unbelievable. What kind of implementations on Firebase prevent DDoS attacks? Puff, you sent me a DM. I asked you to come in here. This is why. No, that's a Firebase question. I mean,
well, like this is just a service-like thing, right? Like servers have a mechanism to detect DDoS attacks, and then they switch out IPs and how they route traffic and they ban traffic. But it's the same reason why, like you're literally saying, how is Cloudflare a company? Cloudflare literally prevent DDoS attacks. That's the entire reason for being. So yeah, it's not really Flutter related. It's not really Dart related. So I'll leave that one.
Images take up a lot of memory. Well, yes, they do. How to recreate? Load 100 images and see memory shoot up. Yes.
Correct.
That's a fact of life. Yes, images take up memory, and a lot of it.
Question.
But step one, now we can reduce it, right, Simon? Because you don't use HD or 4K images for icons.
Yeah.
Okay, this will cause a problem. Really compress your images.
Right. Well, load the right images for the right purpose, right? There's also what's the hash package that wow, come on. Robbie did that hash package.
I'll try and find it.
Go dig it out. But anyway, so there's also like this hash package which you can give it like a little string. You download that in your JSON or whatever, and that string generates like a blurry version of the original image using gradients. And it's called things called Flutter hash or something, Flutter image hash, something like that. Anyway, also like so let me bring this up. This is what you're questioning is this. So inside of Flutter itself, it actually has an image cache, and here class for caching images, and it will cache up to the last recent used 1,000 images and up to 100 megabyte, and that's it. And you can adjust that in here. But what you can also do is called the evict method, which is a global method. You can get the image cache evict, and then just evict it. And the key comes from the image provider. In fact, image provider also has an evict method. So you create an image. You can create an asset image, I think it is, which is a provider. I forget if it is or isn't. Pretty sure that's the one. Yeah. So you can do asset image, put your asset path into the parameter, and then just do dot evict, and it will remove it from the cache. And this is how you can like clean up the cache yourself as your app runs, rather than waiting for it to use up to 100 megabytes and then limit. But it's quite reasonable what they've set the limits to for modern day stuff. If you're in a memory limited environment and you want to limit that, then evict the items from cache as they go out of view. You can control that. They give you the options.
All right, and I have been digging around here. The problem with trying to find anything by Robbie, especially anything to do with images,
I just
did you
remember
figure it out? Because everything I see is about his generative art.
I just remember what it's called. Hang on, let's see if this works. Hang on.
Because the thing is, we're looking at something having to do with images done by Robert Felker, and Robbie is like the premier artist who does algorithm artwork in Flutter.
Here we go. Flutter blur hash, and basically you can see here you go to the website blur hash, take the original image, and then it outputs this like hash value, which is like a string that produces, when run through this widget, produces this output. And the idea is it uses this as a placeholder when loading the image, so you don't have to immediately load the images in, and it's not until like they stop scrolling that you load the images, and then so you still have like a nicely sort of formatted screen, but you don't have to wait for it. And this is
so if I understand correctly, you're going to put that up there as a placeholder while you're downloading a network image, so that way you don't have to have it in the APK.
Yeah, and that's what you see here, right? So you can see it like blurring out and coming back to normal. So the idea is that you can have this blurred out version, and then once the image loads in, you fade in the image using fade in. It's actually a widget called fade in image, I think it's called. But yeah, as you can see here on the left, like this sort of notion. So instead of having gray boxes, you can have the colors immediately there, and then the images load in. But yeah, so you can just upload a picture, you give it your number of components. That's like your quality level. So if we do it here, so you can see here on the left, 4x3 produces this one here. So if I make this like 8x8, there you go. So there's 8x8 gradients, but the hash gets longer, right? So whatever, but you kind of get the idea.
Okay.
And then you can see here what it would look like for different images. But the point here is that you're providing some sort of semblance of the original in play of I don't know what the there you go. There's a and all you do is you get the string out, and then that's the string that you put in your server database or whatever. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right.
Moving on.
Usama, you're at the right stream.
I wish I could see that. What was that? I didn't read it.
iPhone launch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
You can watch that again later.
Exactly. Page view builder. If we swipe the page data changes when swiping is halfway through. I want to change that when the swipe begins. Okay. A lot of the questions that we're getting, folks, are really more appropriate for Stack Overflow. We're getting pretty granular here. This is
these are okay. These are okay. I mean, like this is one of those ones that. So in the Flutter API documentation, was it page view we're talking about, right?
Page view builder.
Yeah, that's fine. So
so the builder function
bugs me sometimes. So you give it a page controller. In page controller, on change is always notified, and all you do is down here, page will be a double, and that would be like, let's say you're on page 1, you're scrolling to page 2, then it'd be like 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, and so on. You can just get the integer value from this, or seal it, or do whatever you want, and that'll give you your index to wherever the data is for the new page. So there you go, problem solved. Yeah, that's what we need to do.
Very cool.
We've now had 2 people in the chat room repeat their questions later. As we said at the top, you do that, you go further down in the queue. You just lose your spot.
Take longer.
Yep.
Because
Sorry, guys.
like if you
Rules.
happen to miss it, we have a system where we tick a question that's been asked and it puts it into a list at the bottom. If you ask it again, we'll tick your new one and remove your old one, so you're back at the
Yep.
bottom. So
Yep.
if you're
Don't
going
do
to
that.
sit there and say, answer my question, answer my question, answer my question, you're always going to be at the bottom. If we don't stop checking it all together.
More questions.
All right. How can we build for Linux ARM from another architecture? Dual boot? No.
Congratulations. You have found the biggest problem in Dart right now. You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
So
yeah.
you need to build the Dart snapshot generator for the platform that you're doing. There is a way of these do exist, and they're in the I'm trying to remember where they are. There's a cloud bucket with these in, and it's basically what happens is do this on your machine. If you run Flutter space pre-cache, all one word, that'll download all the variations, including all the like Linux ARM variations. Go into your SDK directory, the bin directory, and you'll find a cache engine artifacts. Inside there's a directory for each one of the different platforms and architecture. You'll find that there should be a Linux ARM, and inside Linux ARM, you'll find the generate snapshot program. That's what you use to build on that platform. So it's on your platform. That's how you build for that platform. But this is the nature of cross compilation. Cross compilation is difficult.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Oh, I see what I did. I'm sorry. Any updates on Fuchsia?
We don't work for Fuchsia 10.
Yeah. I know there's some mixed stuff going on there. I know some people have been backing off of Fuchsia since the lawsuit was won by Google once and for all. There was a thought that Google was going to put Fuchsia on all the phones in order to get away from Java, because there was a lawsuit with Oracle, but Google has won that lawsuit, and there will be no more appeals. So it looks like going to Fuchsia for that reason is unnecessary. However, I do also have word that there are enough people still working on Fuchsia that it's not going to die. It's still around.
It really has merit, by the way.
It's
a secure platform. I've looked into some of the architecture. It's really interesting. Fuchsia.dev has all the information you're going to need. So go there, read up about it.
Yep.
Look at the open source repo. It'll give you all the information you need.
Let's see here. I'm on my way to making a full app with Flutter, but I will need a static website. Could I use Astro JS inside the Flutter project? If yes, could you guide me? Well, we don't really do coaching, but whether or not it's possible.
AstroJS, but why would you want to use AstroJS inside a Flutter project for a static web page? Just do this. Go use Jasper, which is exactly what you want. You can write your entire website in Dart with CSS, and it's SEO safe and all that kind of stuff. That's what I would direct you to if I was in your position. That's what I would be doing. I'd be using Jasper. Jasper is it's up. Oh, BB2.
Told you I was getting it.
Yeah.
So pub.dev Jasper. It's really cool. It's written in a way that is designed to look like you're working with Flutter. It's very, very similar. I can't remember what they call it. Do they call it containers or
components?
Components. That's it.
Yeah.
Jasper.
So you do testing and everything. Like this is not like. Yeah.
So yes, as we mentioned, it's Jasper without an E. JASPR.
I put a link in the chat already.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Alrighty.
By the way, the owner of the guy who did Jasper has also made Jasper Provide and Jasper River Pod, which basically means you can use River Pod and provide a kind of style with Jasper.
Nice. Okay. A callback to the DO. DO merges all kinds of errors into a DO error.
Sure.
I will not make a getX joke.
But I mean, so what? What's wrong with that? Extract it out. Look at
this. Talking about how to have an error handling package for DO, and it seems like it throws away some of the information by making everything a DO error rather than subclasses of DO error. But that's probably another discussion to have.
But DO error contains the original error object that caused the error.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That's whatever it is.
Any open source Flutter projects that use Android 12 Material U? I don't know any off the top of my head, but I'm sure they're out there.
That's what we're calling Material 3.
Right.
I don't know of any at the moment.
Yeah. A good way to double check that also. Yeah, look up Material 3 versus Material U. Other than that, I mean, we've worked with Material 3. So, any right way to run a background service when the app's not in the background? Well, wait, if the app is not okay, so you're talking about when the app is closed?
So this is on Android, for example, right? Like your app, you want to do something in the background, and you want it to be done with your dark code, then you can do that, and you have to start up a Flutter engine instance, and you can do that. In fact, there's two packages. There's two example packages that I would go to, but it's really complicated. It's really complicated, and that is Flutter Alarm Manager. What's it called? Android Alarm Manager Plus. That's one. So here. So this package, if you go look up Android Alarm Manager Plus from the community, and you'll find that this actually has a bunch of code in it that deals with running a Flutter background executor and doing things in the background. And then there's also the Firebase messaging package. Firebase messaging. Firebase messaging, yeah. Firebase messaging allows for receiving a background message and processing them, and that also has a very similar deal in the background. It has a bunch of code for running a background service and receiver and executor, and a background service executor. And there's a bunch of complexity around this, and you'll need to know native code. There's no simple one solution that fits all. I've currently been working on a package that something that actually solves this a different way. And the idea is that if you start up your Flutter application, you can actually leave the engine running and then return back to it, so it stays running in the background. The technique works on Android to solve this problem, but yeah, overall there's no nice solution, and it's just complicated. And I think I would say that it'd be really nice if the Flutter team were to give a definitive like little package or something that you could just chuck in and make work, but there's no answer. There was an original article called like Flutter with my garage door or something. I can't remember what it was. And they updated it. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember that one. It was like head garage remote. Let's see if I can see Flutter. I can find it. Flutter background. Anyway, that was recently updated. Executing data in the background, found it with geofencing. Here, I'll pop it in the chat. This is the article. I'll bring it up on stream. It's called Ben worked, or I think he does. Yeah, Dark VM hacker. He works and Flutter runtime dev. He works for them. For Google on the Flutter team. Execute data in the background, Flutter plugins and geofencing. And yeah, this was just recently updated to on how you actually go around doing stuff in the background. And and running a Dart executive in the background and how the process works and everything. And that's also, I'd say, a valuable resource in how this all works. Obviously, he's got a specific instance of using the geofencing stuff, and basically he wants to be able to drive up to his house and it opens the garage door. Anyway.
All right. I want to address them real quick. It's kind of out of order. I know we were just talking about the end of the line. Why is linting underrated? Nobody cares about it usually. That's the problem. That's why it's underrated, because people don't care about it is the people's rating. Now, the next question is whether or not it's important. And linting is just like testing.
Okay.
If you're going to do it right, you need to do it, whether you feel like it or not.
Okay.
Linting
is not, I would say linting is not underrated. I think everyone uses linting. Nobody cares about it. Everyone I know cares about linting and uses linting. So this is something that you're seeing in your community or your close community with Flutter, because I can tell you right now, hands up, everyone I know deals with linting. It's not definitely, and it's definitely not underrated in any way, right? Everyone
makes you a better coder.
I've had clients where I come into the code base and there's like 720 lint messages, and it's like, how silly is it? You know, because now I can't see if I'm introducing a new one somewhere. Let's fix these first. And they're like, no, we don't want to fix them. It's too much not productive work.
So just to answer this last bit. So thanks, Rana. The Flutter team have not enforced any lints at all. They don't enforce requirement of lints. What they have done is formally made Flutter lint package and deprecated the pedantic packages. And so basically there was a package called pedantic and then extra pedantic or something like that. I can't remember, something like that. These were the packages everyone used before the anything recently like you're talking about. This has been around for years. We've been using this for years.
Yeah, extra pedantic, really improved my coding 100%.
Yeah, we were using those packages like in alpha days, like really early on. Anyway, the Flutter team made the lints package and the Flutter lints package. One for Dart, that's just Dart only lints, and the one that contains the Flutter specific lints to kind of separate off and organize better. That's all they've done. And then they added them into the default template so that everyone knows about them. That's all they've done.
Now, a lot of times, too,
you can turn them off.
A lot of times, too, you have very mean people like Simon, who, when you're coding professionally and you try to do a PR, and what will happen is the CI will kick it back at you and say, no, you cannot put this in as a PR. It's not ready because it's failing the tests. And the tests it's failing are you have lint rule violations.
Yeah. So this is that's another good thing.
But
that's actually that's actually another thing to mention that I highly recommend is set up your CI environment to run Flutter Analyze. And you're essentially failing on if it's formatted incorrectly or if there's any lint problems, and that way you'd be guaranteed code quality.
Yep. Okay, we're going to do the second part of this first. Am I allowed to ask questions? No. Hi, Danielle. Love you,
Danielle. Who's on the stream? I know why she's asking this, because Danielle's recently managed to find herself a foldable phone. So there's some packages worked on by John. What's his last name?
John Weiss.
John
Weiss.
Weiss. Yeah, Weiss. Yeah.
Weiss. At Microsoft.
Microsoft. He's worked on a few UI widgets, and they deal with the navigation. Latest versions of Flutter actually have included some changes that better support foldables and stuff like that. And that's like media queries got now adjustments for it and so on. But there's actually some packages that they've released. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But go look around. The Microsoft foldable stuff actually has some really
Danielle, Microsoft has formed a team around this. In fact, the one strange thing for a while there was this was John's 20% project,
Duo,
and they formed a team without him.
What we're just talking about was to do with the Microsoft Duo device, right? They did a bunch of software around it. However, the key point here is that is that it just interacts with the Android subsystem, meaning that it'll work on any Android dual screen device, right? So it should be fine running it on like a Samsung or something else. Dual _ screen. I just found it. This is the one I was just thinking of. Let me bring this up on stream. Dual _ screen by Microsoft.com. So so 2-pane widget, hinge angle sensor, and this includes the media query display features, a bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, there you go. All that lovely stuff. I won't go into it, but yeah. And I think they have a few more packages around this, but this one here is the one you're looking for.
Okay. How can we handle live video streaming in Flutter? Are there any default tools? Number one, no. People need to remember that Flutter is a UI framework. It is the building blocks that you use to create more advanced things. Handling live streaming is definitely a more advanced thing that you need to build. Now, with that said, somebody could have built a package to make your life easier. And there's that balance again. When I say don't use a bunch of packages just because they're convenient, this could be a good reason to use a package, because video streaming is not some simple thing you can just write yourself real fast. This is a complex item.
Yeah.
So the standard video, I was going to say that the video the first party Flutter package video player supports streams, so you can go play a where is it? I think it's. I'm gonna.
So, and this is a much safer package to use too, because it's maintained by the Flutter team. Much less likely to go away.
Yeah. So you provide a content network URI, and we provide the network URI. That's going to be a link to a HLS stream. That's a HTTP live stream, and in fact, video format here. There you go, HTTP live streaming, and you supply it with that hint, and that's how it knows what it is. You can also use an MPEG stream as well, but basically, your live streaming provider will provide you with the URL, the dash or the HLS stream URL. So you, when it comes to live streaming, to be clear, for the people that don't know, there's a protocol called RTP, that's real-time protocol, and there's RTMP, real-time media protocol, and there's a few other variations around this. RTSP, which is the secure one, the SSL version. But basically, the idea is that you want to stream, you want UDP streams of video and audio data to be sent out somewhere, and then that gets sent out to all the devices that are listening. The problem is that all those devices may not understand the source audio and video codec that's being used. So you need to have a transcoder in the middle, and that converts the streams into the various things that are used by different devices. So normally you'd have a streaming platform that you use, and their literal job is to give you an RTMP, like literally the same as Twitch, right? Like this is literally what Twitch does, right? And YouTube and any of these other things. Like what you're seeing right now is we stream our content to an RTMP endpoint, RTP endpoint, then that will get absorbed by YouTube or Twitch. They will then transcode it and then send it out to a HLS stream or an MPEG stream to all the users in their browsers. But yeah, when it comes to Flutter, Flutter's only care is, can I display it? Can I play it back? It doesn't care about recording or anything like that. That's a completely separate thing. So if you're asking about can you display a live stream, the answer is yes. It's the video player package, and you can do a dash or HLS live stream playback.
All righty. And I want to harken back for just a moment to the best state management package. It's probably one that I will come out with one day. It is called Yasms. If anybody has ever used SysLinux.
No, it's any of the Linux stuff. Do you remember, Randall will know, yet another compiler?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yak. I wrote some stuff in Yak.
Yet another something.
Yet another.
YA. Yet another.
And the Perl Foundation is under the guise of the Yet Another Society, YAS.
Mm-hmm. How do they think unique names for products like Impeller? A lot of alcohol.
A lot of research.
Alcohol, pizza, you know,
You say
sitting outside. Sorry.
The thing is, you talk about these names, but they're just names. Like just pick something and give it a name. That's it. It's not the name that makes it; it's what you do with it, right? So it's like saying, "Oh, well, Dart Frog." That's what they call the VGV called their backend service. Zap is what Invitae's called their web-based Flutter editing system. It's just a name. Pick a name.
Yep.
If it's not being used by anything else in the industry community group, then you're good.
Now the answer to this one is something that Flutter Vikings has been very helpful for me. What's your approach to debugging issues after going through the code very carefully and it looks like you're doing everything right? Well, Flutter Vikings is helping me solve that problem. That's what these are for.
So it's in programming. It's called rubber ducking or being a rubber duck. And half it is literally just having something that we all have them, and having a dash is another example of this. Is that you speak aloud what you're doing to the inanimate object, and the process of speaking aloud, step by step, what you're doing. Normally, it helps you work out, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. It just gives you that way of looking at and perceiving it differently. But just having maybe a friend that does Flutter Dev and having them work with you on the do a bit of pair programming, as it were, and talk them through what you're doing. And then normally, just you talking through it, they've done nothing. They've answered no questions. They just sat there and listened. And suddenly you go, oh, but of course it's not working because of such and such. And
that's the one that I always get is I'll be on Zoom. I'll say, hey, Aikish, can you take a look at this? So Aikish comes over and he's watching it. And of course, he has no idea what I've been doing. So I have to explain it to him. I'm like, I have this extension and now I'm doing this with it. And now I create the variable for it. And and it's in the context. And then I do da-da-da. And then oh, wait, that's not quite right. Okay, there's that. Let's see what happened. Oh, man, sorry, I wasted your time. It's all fixed. Do this 3, 4, 5 times. And what's happening is when you look at your code, you're scanning it. You know what it's supposed to be. You're moving fast. When you have to slow down and explain it in granular steps to someone who's never seen it, that's when you start catching something. And instead of wasting your coworker's time, explain it to the duck.
I will also mention, just rereading his question here, right? What's your approach to debugging issues? Use a debugger, right? A lot of people like do print statements and stuff and so on, and it's only so much you can do with that, right? There's other issues that you get with programming that is related to timing, and they are the worst, right? I mean, timing, or even worse, when you have a bug that only appears in release, doesn't prevent debug mode builds. That's another one that is just like when you have that, it's really difficult to diagnose them, right? But when you're dealing with like multiple ISOs, multiple threads, asynchronous operation, you have timing gets involved, and when something returns, when something hasn't, a lot of the time you cannot stop in the debugger, because stopping the debugger changes the way the timing works and will throw off you finding the bug. Like literally debugging it stops the bug from happening, which is so infuriating, right? So these things can all happen, right? And the best way to do this is just prodigious print statements when you get to that point, right? Like there's not much you can do, but output the right information at the right points, and that just comes with just trial and error and learning over time how it works and what you're looking for.
There's an old saying, okay, wisdom can be measured. It can be measured. Where is it? Well, I'm not going to waste a lot of time trying to find it, but there's a measurement tool that measures in 1/1000th of a millimeter.
Caliper.
And we call it a micrometer or a caliper. You can measure wisdom by measuring the thickness of the callus on your forehead from where you've been beating your head against the desk. Okay, because that's the mark of experience.
Yes.
The more experience you get, the more you cry, The more you beat your head on the desk, the thicker the callus becomes, the more wise you get.
It's like a really interesting thing. As a beginner, you feel frustrated a lot of the time because you're not. It's so difficult to know because you don't know anything. You don't know what to know or what to learn to know. So it's very, very difficult. Then you can get the kind of intermediate stage where now I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do it this way, this way, this way. And then you go too far down the rabbit hole. Like you over implement. You start doing interfaces and you start going down the route of just like way too far down the road. And then you have to make even more of a mess. And you have to kind of push back. You kind of get to the sort of experienced developer stage, which kind of goes back down and says, no, don't do that.
It's a continual cycle. Every time you learn something, you discover there are 2 more things for you to learn.
Yeah.
And so it's constantly that building up of stuff.
Well,
and then there's all the mistakes too, which I've got all the scars to show for it over the years of things I did wrong, did ineffectively. Yes.
You never stop learning, and so when you always, just for everyone out there, as a developer, as a programmer, you need to devote a certain percentage of time to learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just picking up a new framework, trying out a new thing, whatever it is. It may not be coding for any practical purpose. That's why every programmer has lots of side projects, because doing that side project, they say, I'm going to make a video plan, I'm going to make something that does plays live streams, right?
Or for a load of fun.
Learn about that.
For a load of fun, go on to Discord and Stack Overflow and answer some questions for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You learn tons that way. Oh my God.
Yep. And also, someone who has gone through this fairly recently, you will find that as you read the documentation, for every question you get answered, it creates 3 more. And what that is a lot of times the documentation is written by engineers on a project for other engineers on that project. So the terms they're using are understood by their target audience. It's just you weren't their target audience. Yeah. And then when it comes out of alpha, the docs really should be aimed towards people who've never seen the system before, which causes the docs to have to be completely rewritten. Flutter went through this in 2019. Because in 2018, no one who didn't understand Flutter could understand the docs either. So, but yeah, that has come a long way. But the curve is like, you start out here, you have a question, you go to the docs, now you have 2 more questions. Okay, then you have 3 more questions. And it comes up, and then after a while, you start getting answers that don't create any more questions, and you start coming back down.
I'd like
that's
to
when
say
your frustration level goes down.
I'd like to say on behalf of Google that as a professional communicator, I've written a number of best-selling books and done a lot of training presentations, things like that. The Google documentation, the Google written documentation for Dart and Flutter is second to none. They hire the best technical writers. It's kept up to date. They actually are working with the engineering team, so when an engineering release hits the street, the docs are updated that day. It's amazing watching this happen.
As I mentioned, they went through that in 2019. Oh, sorry. Well, we all sat down over food.
We can't. I can't forget that the community, they did the adopt a widget, and the community really picked up there that every widget got adopted. Everyone put in some effort into updating the documentation. So this is not just like the Flutter team. This is
true. It's not the team spearheaded it, but the thing is, the team. We all were together in Mountain View back in 2019, early 2019, and we sat down over food and birthday cake, and we started talking about this, and the team really listened, because as soon as we left and went home, they went on this charge, like just a horse cavalry charging, and they worked on the documentation. They started linking to the widget of the week from the documentation. They started adopt a widget, asking people to pick a widget, and they had like this list. So you knew if a widget had not been taken yet, and they wanted people to go in and rewrite the documentation. I mean, it has been a very serious push from their end. Now, they didn't do all the work, like Simon says. but they made sure the work got done. And the docs are light years beyond what they used to be because of all that hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. We have 20 minutes and a few more questions. What is the best way to connect an SDK to Flutter that's written in Java for Android? What resources should I look for? Connect an SDK that's written in Java.
Do you want me to show you?
Uh-oh.
Every week is go to flutter.dev, documentation, over here, platform integration, building Flutter apps, or is it writing platform specific code? Talk to us through how you do all this, how you work with Android specific APIs, method channels, all this, and the specific bit on Android around doing your plugins and so on. I think there's actually a plugins and packages.
We were just talking about how great the documentation is, so go read the fantastic manual.
Yeah, so you can create a plugin that has a Android class in it, and then you open up in Android Studio. You can be editing the Java code over here that links to the package that calls the method channels. But honestly, I think that the other thing to mention is that just go to the official Flutter GitHub, and there's actually not this one. I think the plugins repo, and the plugins repo has all of the first-party plugins in it. Here they all are. All of them have some sort of Android integration, and you can go look them up and see how they do something with Android. So here's a path provider, Android implementation, and then here is that's the test. And here is their plugin. Here's the example of the plugin. It implements Flutter plugin, and then how they deal with the methods and dispatch and so on. So yeah, it's not rocket science. It's all in there. They've actually got a path provider API, which is quite nice. So this is because they've actually got a separate package. This is using federated plugins. So to be clear, federated plugins have this platform interface. That is the generic Dart interface for all versions of the package, and that's what you want to be looking at. And this is the method channel side of it. This is the Dart implementation. But honestly, just go look up building plugins for Dart, and it seems complicated. It's super not. It's super simple. You just create a subfolder in your repo called packages. Inside it, do Flutter create -t plugin, which is template for plugin. Give it a name, whatever the SDK provider is, and then edit the Android code, add your dependency, your Gradle dependency, and create your method channel. It gives you example code already made in the template, and just away you go.
Yeah. Something a little bit of a deviation here. They were having a conversation about a completely different topic, and I happened to notice this. I could maybe have tried Spacer widget. There are 3 people who are responsible for the existence of the Spacer widget, and 2 of them are sitting on this stream.
Everybody but me.
No. You have to do with it because I wrote it. I wrote V1. Okay, let's be clear. I wrote V1, maybe V2. And I wrote it because I was getting sick and tired of having to write out expanded child size box, expanded child size box, expanded child. I was like, and I had to do this all over an app one time. So I got sick and tired of it, and I created a spacer. Well, I was having another problem with the code, and I happened to show Randall. He was helping me out. He said, "What's this spacer? You've got to push that. You've got to push that." And he wouldn't leave me alone till I pushed it for the framework. And then Hixie looked at it, and I didn't get back to it for a while because I wasn't quite sure what I was doing with it, and was my first PR. So Hixie took it and he refactored it, which in my mind, I'm imagining him looking at it and saying, "What is this crap?" So he turns around and he refactors it, and then he pushes it in. So Hixie's the last person, and he's the one who wrote the final version. So just a little Flutter trivia. Hash blur Simon. You know, I've tried it multiple times, but every time I do, that's what happens. It doesn't work.
He comes back.
I just keep coming back for more.
Yep. All right. I have a decent knowledge of Flutter. What would you guys recommend next? Funny you should say that.
React Native.
I'm sorry. It seems that we've lost the connection for Randall. All right. Now, Anna Lushenko is the young lady whose birthday it was that you may have seen us singing happy birthday. And sorry, guys, she is married. And her husband, Alexei, wrote the highly subjective roadmap to Flutter. So if you go there, it shows a huge learning path that is fantastic. Don't get too daunted. It's got 4 sections. By the time you're done the first 2 sections, you're employable, at least as a junior. Okay. Beyond that, you start making yourself more valuable. If you know all 4 sections, you know the whole thing. You're pushing being employable as a senior. So
the link that I put the link in the chat for anyone who wants to go there and find it.
Yep. Very cool. So, yep. All right. How can we make good use of isolates? Is it a good thing to load cached images using object box on the other thread rather than on the main UI thread?
So by default, images are actually passed and loaded by the framework on a different thread. So
it's already happening.
Say no. I think that the thing is I don't know how object box comes into this and how that works. So that might be more complicated. But generally speaking, image data is just like a chunk of bytes, and it's compressed and it has a header attached to it. And that's how you get it from. So you're probably going to get that from object box. It's just some values, and then you actually pass it to the framework. The framework actually looks at the header, works out how big the image is, and actually decodes the image back into its RGB values to be displayed on the screen. And that's all happening on another thread. That's all happening by the frameworks, by the engine's inclusion of like libjpeg and all these other libraries that do all that kind of stuff. So there's no use for that. To be honest, I don't think there's any good use of isolates that you're going to have for the most part for most applications.
Now, in addition to that, though, on another hand, if you really want to get a pretty cool look at isolates and everything, I would suggest that you go over to Thomas's talk on Flutter Vikings, because he took multiple isolates at the same time. Okay. So here we go. Let's take a look at the description here. In general, Dart is seen as single-threaded language, which makes a lot of things much easier. With modern CPUs and with multiple cores, it would be really sad if Dart could not leverage the power of parallel processing. Luckily, Dart has the ability to execute code in multiple isolates in parallel. As the approach the Dart engineers took is a bit more cumbersome than the way other systems solve this, the isolates are not popular so far. With the talk, he wants to change that, and with an optical attractive application of parallel processing, something visually appealing, Mandelbrot sets. Now, one interesting thing, though, from a while back, and it's kind of funny, Philip doesn't even remember doing this video. Philip was talking about the fact that Flutter can be multi-threaded, but the thing is that what you're doing is you're spinning up an isolate, which is taught to be on the same thread, just in its own event loop, kind of like time sharing. But the actual truth is you can't control what core that isolate spins up on. If it spins up on the same core, then yes, you're going to have a time sharing thing going on. If it spins up on another core, then you've got genuine parallel processing happening. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there's no way to take control of that, though. And so maybe Thomas has figured something out. Check out the talk.
I've just located the exact talk and the time in the day in the video, so it's in the chat now if anyone that wants to watch it.
Oh, cool.
Again,
okay, so it's already up.
Yeah. Well, no, this was the ones from the live stream. The live streams are always there. The problem is that the slides are straight on the projector, so it's really hard to see. Sorry about that. But again, we will be editing these videos and putting them up properly for anyone that wants to see them. And
the audio problems that were also happening on the stream, the raw footage, as far as I know, has perfect audio. So it's going to take some effort for the editors to cobble everything together. But on the posted videos, everything should look great. Can we share a sample of a Flutter analyzer fail if the rules are not met? Sure. Constant is preferred. That will fail you right there. If you get the little warning squiggle line and it says prefer constant constructors, fail. I mean, go into your IDE, and if you're using, for example, IntelliJ, you have to Flutter, you have to analyze a tab, and it shows you all the errors. And if you've got any like lint checks warnings in there, they'll fail the analyzer and CI. Yep. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Come join us. You want to come join us?
Come on, man.
Still have 7 minutes. You can get in here.
Is there.
I want to in here.
No, in that channel, right?
He's gonna.
I'll tell you what. You get him in here, and I will take care of this next one. Okay. Best way to handle responsiveness in Flutter for all screens. You could do it the way I do it, which is just have Simon refactor your code. But failing that, in all seriousness, when you're writing, especially for multiple form factors, your actual individual widgets, your buttons, your chips, your pills, your icons that you're making, whatever it is that you're making, do not put sizes on them. And in a lot of cases, in most cases, don't even put aspect ratios on them. What you're doing at that point is you're putting the responsibility on the parent. Okay, you're lifting up. We always say lift up state. Well, you know what? Lift up constraints. Don't have the object provide its own constraints. Have those constraints provided by the parent. Because what's going to happen is as you keep lifting up, each form factor is going to start dictating different things. I mean, one is going to have a single column. Another one's going to have 2 columns side by side. Change the aspect ratio again. You're going to need to hit a breakpoint and flip that column to a row. So whatever it is that you're putting in the children of these can't be dictating its own sizes and such, because it doesn't know where it's going to be put. And it doesn't know what size the parent's going to be. So just let the parent make all those decisions. However, be sure if you're putting things inside of there, especially if you're putting text in, handle your overflows. Because don't forget, when the user uses accessibility to change the size of the text, they're setting a scaling factor. And if you don't handle that correctly, it's going to be a mess.
I'll quickly show you this. So this is Alois. I can never say his name. Alois Daniel. He's French author of Device Frame, which can also help. So this can help you sort of like get a size and so on for you. You can put multiple of these on the screen or multiple things so you can see what your app looks like. But there's also widget book without the plus. And that also does the same thing. And this you can set the text scale factor and device and so on, and you can see what your app looks like on all the different platforms. And this can also like be helpful in terms of trying to debug that kind of stuff. You can also run it on multiple emulators and all that. So emulators will actually have more physical devices and just plug lots in. Or what was the thing they did in was it Flutter Interact? They had the octopus device. Do you remember that?
Man,
On the
yeah, I remember
stage,
that.
they had like
8
all the
different
phones,
devices.
is like phones, tablets, PC, everything, all like connected up at once. Oh, I see someone has joined us. Hey, here he is.
Hi. How's it going?
No, not so bad. You still got your voice then?
Yeah, it's I don't have headphone, microphone, or anything. It's just my laptop. Sorry for bad
fine.
quality.
It sounds great, buddy.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
most.
It's just your voice that's messed up, man, because you've spent a whole week yelling, trying to be heard over all the noise.
I'm still waiting for my voice to come back.
Just every time in between the classes, the noise, because it was a marble staircase and all tile, and yeah, it was loud.
I really wish like obviously you had the trip and other things didn't work out, so I didn't get to see you after the since the end of the event. So I really wish we could all stay back and help you clean up, because I know that you've had to do a lot just sorting out the venue and everything. So thank you very much.
That was okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Now I just came back on Monday, and it was so many boxes, to be honest, and just picked them up. I got a van and just stored them behind the van and took them to office.
By the way, I think Majid is having a fire sale on 29-inch curved monitors.
I like this. I like this.
Or are you going to save them for? Are you going to save them for next year?
Yes, I will.
You know, where are you going to put them? I
see also you like your T-shirt. I see a lot of picture from you with the T-shirt.
I never got one.
I know. I'll bring one
in
London. I promise. I'll see you in October, right? So
he was staff and speaker, and he didn't get one.
No, I was running around and like it all. Yeah, I missed it. Never mind.
He's very tall.
It's very tall.
That's one of the reasons during last week's stream I was like, you get everyone together and you're like,
we missed a great opportunity, Scott. We should have got Majid and Frederick to stand next to each other and have a picture.
They would have looked normal next to each other. What we really need is
and us next to them. It would have been like
well, but okay, now we could do the thing, okay, where it's Frederick, Majid, you, me, Jay, Mariano.
Daltons.
Yeah, it's funnier when you've met all these people. Trust me.
There you go.
I saw you've been talking about videos. I actually called several times this week the videographers, and I got the raw also videos and audios. Everything is fine. It was just live stream that we messed it up sometimes.
Good.
So my editor is working on syncing audio and presentation and video, and that takes time. Just bear with me. Each talk is around 40 to 50 minutes, and by just syncing one video takes a couple of days.
I was going to say at best a pro can do 2 in a day. That's it.
People don't realize just the amount that goes into editing. It's not until you sit
Which
there and
reminds me, once again, I want to mention, and we need to go back through and maybe even have this person on the stream. There is someone in there, and you will see their name. They are going back through our past streams and breaking down for timestamps and writing out each question, what it was and when it was answered. We cannot thank you enough. It is amazing. Yes. We mentioned it last week. Unfortunately, well, actually, it was a lot of fun. I don't want to say unfortunately. As you all who were watching saw, we were laying around on a couch getting silly. And we're not really in a position to look things up. So had a lot of fun with that, though, rotating people in and out, just getting stupid. It was fun.
Here's here's the last stream one with Danielle, and here is Chris Chan 1712. He wonderfully broke down and put all the questions that everyone asked and all the timestamps, and we've added that to the chapter markers on and thanked him as well on top of that.
They are doing
Now
this on a lot of the stream videos, not just this one.
Proper chapter markers in YouTube now, which really helps when you're trying to go to a specific question or get it answered or something. So thank you very much, Christian, for your contributions.
Yeah, we will. If you do not have a dash, we will make sure you get one. How's that, Nilay? Oh, Nilay.
So I need to get Majid. Did you manage to save me a Sparky plush?
I got 2 sparkly actually. Yes, I can bring one for you.
Then that will complete my collection because I have Dash, and I have Zap, and I have Sparky, Android, Gopher, and in the back is what's the CI? Bitrise. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Very
look,
cool.
here he is. Hey, look, you guys shout out. Yeah, Christian. Thank you very much, man.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Good job.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We will figure out a way to get you a dash. Which, for those of you who don't know, dashes are almost impossible to get.
Maybe he can send me an email to team@fluttervikings.com. I can send him a bag of conference swags.
Yeah.
So at least he can get something from Flutter Vikings. Just
And
send
that was
an email.
team@fluttervikings.com.
Yeah. Not everyone, just that person.
Yeah, just now you're going to get a whole bunch of emails saying, "Oh, I'm that person."
Yes. It's easy to verify though.
Yes, it is. Well, okay, it is 2:04. We actually managed to stop on time, or at least stop questions on time. Now we're just chatting.
So thank you for joining us, Majid. And I think we're going to sort of wrap things up now. We'll be doing more soon, and we'll be back next week for another Humpday Q&A.
And tell your boss that we said thank you so much for all of her hard work. Yeah, and letting me borrow her camera. So
Sure.
All right. And I'm going to another little outro here because we might as well do the Vikings one. So thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.